The New York Jets are taking on the Miami Dolphins. We're going to preview it and give it our predictions. Hey, what's going on? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today I am breaking down the New York Jets versus Pittsburgh Steelers. No, not the Pittsburgh Steelers. They just played the Pittsburgh Steelers. Miami Dolphins. Sorry, brain fart. Before we get started today, I just want to mention you can follow on social media at Matt O'Leary and why. If you haven't already, please make sure to check out the Just Jets podcast. New episodes drop Wednesday. Call in after the game. Recap. We'll go through the whole thing. Preview the upcoming week. Talk storylines. It's a whole lot of fun. Check it out. Also, want to thank everyone, number one, for just continuing the support and the kind messages this week after making the jump to content full time have been really, really appreciated. Super humbling. Love you all. I have been pretty transparent. So I tried to go live on Wednesday, but having really tough internet issues. I am currently, as of recording this, still waiting on Optimum to come and take a look. So putting the live streams on a temporary pause. Hopefully that is figured out later today. I am like, if you see me looking off camera in this video, it's probably because I'm like peeking. There's a window right there and I just want to see if an Optimum truck pulls up. But I appreciate you guys bearing with me. It really means a lot. And thanks again for the kind messages. We're going to get into this game. The Jets 2-2. A surprise 2-2 to some, not me or not most Jet fans, because I think a lot of people said, all right, if you get through the first 4 games 2-2, you're in a good spot. The 2 games I thought they were going to win, they ended up winning. Now, to be fair, I didn't pick the Jets to win against the Cleveland Browns after how bad they looked in week 1. But before the year, it was, all right, the 2 games, Steelers and Browns, look like the ones where you can pull off the win. And the Miami Dolphins lost their first game of the year to the Cincinnati Bengals and lost to Tagovailoa in the process. We'll get into that later, but let's first break down the offensive DVOA versus defense DVOA rankings. The Jets' offensive DVOA is 23rd in the league. Miami is 2nd in the league. Obviously, without Tua and going to Teddy Bridgewater, that might change some things. And defensive DVOA, Jets 25, Miami 28. So maybe there'll be some points in this game. Now to the Mojo segment. If you don't know, Mojo is now available in New Jersey. Make sure to check it out. Download the app and get in on the action. I am extremely envious as someone from Long Island who is waiting for Mojo still at this point, but you should get in on the fun. The 3 players that I want to highlight this week are 2 Dolphins and 1 Jet. The first Dolphin is Tyreek Hill. He is up 4.28% this week. He had a very, very good game and continues to look good early on in his tenure with the Miami Dolphins. I would anticipate his stock to continue to go up. Jalen Waddle did not have a great game, so he came down 3.22%. If you're a Jalen Waddle believer, now might be the time to buy the dip. The slight dip, as it's going to go back up again, at least I would assume. Maybe not this week because Sauce Gardner shuts down both those 2 guys, but who knows? Maybe a good time to get in on the action at that point. And then Zach Wilson, I'm sure everyone's wondering what happened with him this week. He is up 4.94% after his come-from-behind win over the Pittsburgh Steelers and looking to continue his success against the Miami Dolphins. So to me, the biggest storyline in this game, we'll get into the wide receiver and corner matchup that we'll see from the New York Jets and Miami Dolphins. But first, Teddy over Tua. So Tua Tagovailoa, first and foremost, I just want to mention that it is incredibly dumb how the Miami Dolphins handled that situation. Number one, he should never have came back in the game against the Buffalo Bills. How that was ruled a quote-unquote back injury was ridiculous. He got up and he should not have re-entered that game. Utterly ridiculous. And then he plays 4 days later and then gets hurt again. And so he probably suffered 2 concussions in the span of 4 days. Awful, awful, awful. Atrocious stuff. I feel terribly for Tua, and hopefully he recovers because that was scary watching what happened last Thursday night. But when Teddy came back in, he was okay. 193 yards on 23 passes, a touchdown, and an interception. Over the last 2 years, he is 11-18 as a starter. He's averaging 234 passing yards per game, 33 touchdowns to 18 interceptions in 29 starts. He's not going to throw the ball a ton, at least for passing touchdowns. So I don't know if that's going to necessarily, or how that's going to necessarily impact this Miami Dolphins offense. We've really seen it go through both Waddle and Hill, and now they're going to see a little bit of a difference between the two quarterbacks. I think that he's not going to be able to take the shots down the field, which Tua, while he doesn't have the strongest arm, that's pretty much what he did, was try to take those shots down the field early on this year. I don't know if the underneath stuff is going to be working, but I've seen a lot of people say it, and I'm going to reiterate it. The one that I'm kind of concerned about is Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki has a chance to really do some damage against this New York Jets team. They never seem to cover tight ends well, so that is definitely an area for concern. And I'm not sure who's going to be on them. Maybe Sauce Gardner rotates in, but I feel like, and we should get into this now, Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed are going to have their hands full with Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. This is their second, I guess, really big test. The first Cincinnati Bengals, but Bengals wide receiver are bigger body guys. Like Chase is bigger. T. Higgins is a little bit on the bigger side. Boyd, same kind of deal. Where Waddle and Hill are small and extremely fast. So very, very different. And you can only really keep up with those guys for, one-on-one for these limited amount of time. So I'm curious to see what Ulbrich and Robert Saleh draw up in this game. I think personally they're going to need to have a really good pass rush day, because when looking at what this defense is successful, or looking at when this defense is successful, is when the pass rusher is getting home. Pittsburgh Steelers pass rush looked really, really good, and there were 4 interceptions in the game. Picked off Kenny Pickett 3 times. You picked off Mitch Trubisky in the first half. I don't think you're going to be able to get Teddy Bridgewater to throw multiple interceptions. Maybe you get 1. He's usually a little bit more on the conservative side. So it's really going to be up to those two, who have been phenomenal, arguably the best cornerback duo in the league. That sounds crazy to say. It's like 2010 all over again with Cromartie and Revis, but they have been phenomenal through the first 4 games. And then the last thing for me in the preview is, can Zach stay consistent this week? Last week, while I think he finished strong, and you love that, and you take that fourth quarter and you hold it very close and near and dear to your heart, because hopefully that is the first of many fourth quarter comebacks. But Zach Wilson, I think, has to be a little bit more consistent this week. I would like to see the completion percentage go up. 50% is too low. Now, granted, it was even uglier than that, and the fact that it got up to 50% was kind of impressive in its own right, but can he hang around 60% completion? Can he keep the yards per attempt up, and hopefully cut down on the turnovers? I'll reiterate, the second interception I don't look at his fault. First one, that ball should not have been thrown. Yes, Jeff Smith was open for half a second. Yes, it was because he threw it too far and the defender made a really nice play. I know all those things, but still, in that spot, you don't want to force a ball like that. That was bad. So I'm looking for Zach Wilson to be more consistent this week, which is honestly a really good segue into our first topic of conversation here, or the next topic of conversation. We've done topics. Let's get into the stat line predictions. I'm going to have Zach Wilson go 20 of 34 for 245 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, no interception. So a very nice Zach Wilson day against a good team in the Miami Dolphins. I will say Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore come in with a receiving touchdown. The Elijah breakout game is coming. I know it feels like I'm a broken record and I keep saying that, but I buy it. The guy is getting open. Eventually, the quarterbacks are going to find him. Zach Wilson's going to get the connection back. Garrett Wilson just gets open way too much. He's way too talented to not think he's going to continue to have a really wonderful rookie year. And Breece Hall, I think he gets 18 carries for, let's call it 79 yards, maybe another 20, 25 in receiving yards, and I think he'll have a rushing touchdown in this game. Now, it's time to get into the pick segment of the show, which is brought to you by BUSR. BUSR is the official sportsbook of Matt O'Leary NY. Make sure to use my link to sign up and place your bet on this game. Now, the Jets are 3-point underdogs here. Going into this, I have been brutal picking. I am 1-3 against the spread. The Animal is 3-1 against the spread. Casey Rat is 3-1. Casey Goose, whatever we want to call her. Casey the Gambling Dog, 3-1 against the spread. I am taking the Jets here +3, and I think they win the game outright. Hot take, I think they pull off the upset at home. 24-20 win. I think this is a prime opportunity to find yourself in the win column in a divisional game. They're 0-12 in their last 12 divisional games. Last time they won a divisional game, Week 17, Matt Barkley in 2019 against the Buffalo Bills, resting their starters. It is time. Prove that this is not the same old Jets. Zach Wilson coming home in his first home game of the 2022 season, I think comes in and has a really big win. Now let's go to Casey and see who she likes in this game. The road favorites. Gotta love the road players in this game, the road team in this game. So she's on the Dolphins -3. We'll see who's right. Maybe I'll gain a game, or maybe I'll end up being down 4 games to the dog, which is wild. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, I am Matt O'Leary. Subscribe, share with a friend, like the video. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll talk to you next time.